Well, hey friends, today is March 18th, and it's National Biodiesel Day. So it's actually a Rudolph Diesel, the guy who invented the diesel, originally ran off of peanut oil. Today's his birthday. So for whatever reason, that has been now deemed National Biodiesel Day. So I thought, I drive a diesel truck, so I was like, maybe I'll go try to find some biodiesel, and I can't. There's a couple of businesses around that sell them, but they're not open today because they're not like gas stations. I found a gas station not too far, but it's a synthetic diesel. It's not biodiesel. So I thought, there's really no point of driving all the way out there for it not to be biodiesel for Biodiesel Day. So here's the deal. I used to be really into biodiesel before I had a diesel truck, because I always thought, man, I would love to make biodiesel before I had a diesel truck, and that's why I would get one. And then it just never worked out, and now I have a diesel truck and I don't have a space to make biodiesel. So let me quickly give you a snapshot of why biodiesel, or maybe I'm even going to share maybe a little bit of just why diesel. So here's the deal. Diesel engines in general are much more efficient than gasoline engines. Now, I know a lot of people think diesel engine, they think big, they think noisy, they think polluting, they think all sorts of different things. But the reality is diesel engines are actually very, very efficient. See, when they idle, they produce a decent amount of torque and horsepower at very, very, very low RPM. And diesel idles with almost like just barely the minimum amount of fuel, because the big difference between gas and diesel is a gas engine, the fuel is ignited off of a spark. A diesel engine, the fuel is ignited off of compression, which is why they sound so loud and so crazy. The knock, knock, knock of a diesel, if you've ever heard that song before. It's because it's such high compression that it makes that kind of a noise, that the fuel is actually ignited off of compression and some heat, but there's not a spark plug in a diesel engine. So they're very interesting. What the most efficient fueled car, somebody made a prototype vehicle that had a diesel generator with an electric drive, because a diesel generator produces so much torque, it can produce a lot of power, more power than every gallon of fuel used. So it's a very efficient engine. Now, biodiesel. Basically, biodiesel is vegetable oil. Some people always associate it with waste vegetable oil, which that's a part of it, and people convert their engines to run on waste vegetable oil, but that's not really what it's all about. Biodiesel takes a vegetable or a some sort of corn or whatever oil-based, vegetable oil base or some sort, or peanut oil, and you break down the molecules, you use lye and scrub a bunch of things out of it, clean it really well, it's being like washed, and then all the water is removed, and then you add methanol, and that makes it back to a very clean fuel. It actually is so clean that it's detergent, and it cleans your engine and it cleans your fuel lines. If you have an older vehicle, maybe like mid 90s or newer, some of them don't run on biodiesel very well because it's so detergent, it actually will eat old fuel lines. So a lot of people, if they're really into it, will like progressively move up to 100%, or they will just switch out fuel lines and filters and O-rings and all that kind of stuff, because it's so detergent that it cleans everything out of your engine, and the emissions are very low out of it as well. So it can be a really great option, and a lot of people say that they get better gas mileage on it. I feel like the general consensus is you lose about 20% of fuel economy, but typically it's way less expensive to make. It smells like French fries, which is really cool, or Chinese food, and it's cleaner to burn, and you know, you can still use your diesel motor. So I drive a Ford F350. It's a 7.3, and people always ask me why this truck, why diesel and all that. And here's the deal: I used to own I've owned a few different vehicles. I had a Dodge Ram, thing broke all the time. Had a Toyota Tacoma. It was a ton of fun, but it was a little too small, and then that broke, so I was really frustrated, and I just decided I want a car that will do anything, pull anything, go anywhere, get decent gas mileage, and be a full-size pickup truck, because I load the back up with stuff all the time. And that's why I chose a F350. Now, why this F350? I actually chose one intentionally that was a little older, and it's actually more expensive to get this older truck than it is to get some of the newer models. And the reason is because of the engine that's in this thing. I don't know if you can hear it, but this is the 7.3 liter diesel. If you think it sounds like your bus engine, it's because it's the same one. This engine was in Ford's International and all sorts of vehicles for a pretty long production time, from the 80s to 2003. It was in all sorts of things, and the reason is because this thing is bulletproof. People get 500, 600, 700,000 miles on this motor without having any issues with it. And I can tell you from where I'm at right now, I tell people all the time I've got 177,000 miles, and they're like, it's still brand new, it's gonna last forever. And I hope so. That's why I bought it. I said I want a truck that'll tow. I've got an 18,000 pound tow rating. My Toyota Tacoma used to get 14 miles a gallon. I get 16 in this full-size truck. Just all around better vehicle. It's got solid front and rear axles, so it does pretty well off-roading. So Dina and I, we bought this truck. I did some basic maintenance to it, so I knew where it was at. And then we went and drove it around the country and put 20,000 miles on it. And I bought it with 120,000 miles, knowing I fully intend to drive this thing until it hits 500,000 miles with no hesitation. I will take this thing anywhere and know that it will confidently make it. So I think this is a great vehicle. There's a lot of companies making newer diesels. Jetta got a lot of press for a long time. And here's the deal. They cheated the system. They made false claims. They did things that were not right, but they made a diesel motor in a small car that is very powerful, that gets very good gas mileage, and it's a great little motor that runs really pretty clean. It actually runs very clean, but because they cheated and they did some things that were not okay, they're now obviously paying the consequences for that. But other companies are making some amazing things, and newer trucks, the 6.7 Fords and the 6.2, the Cummins motors, and a lot of companies making great diesel trucks now that are producing almost no emissions. And the problem is there was this gap of time between 2002 and 2011 where they just couldn't figure out how to do it. The government put all these regulations on diesel trucks, and because they wanted them cleaner, which is totally cool. The problem is the regulations, the car companies couldn't keep up. So there's this whole series of trucks that are just garbage, and they're garbage not because the truck manufacturers are garbage, because the regulations on the emission system were so high that they had to do so many things to the truck that they ended up just destroying the motors of these trucks. And really the best solution right now that Ford has, which I believe they have the best solution currently, they put the different fuel or different emissions regulation or different emissions systems on the truck. Instead of just doing one, they kind of do three, and they all work together as its own system, and it works really well. The problem is if something goes wrong with a system, it's extremely expensive to fix or replace. So it's just something to be aware of. A lot of the new gas trucks are getting great torque and great horsepower numbers. So really on the newer trucks, you're probably not needing diesel anymore. But if you're getting one of the older trucks, know that, man, these are incredible workhorses. So I love this truck, and so does my wife, and I really just want to keep it forever. And I would honestly say right now that if for some reason something went wrong and my motor blew up, I would really consider putting a new motor in this truck and not getting a new one, because I like it that much. There she is. I love it. All right, so all that information just to say happy National Biodiesel Day. And if you're thinking about a diesel vehicle, talk to me. I know a little bit. I'd love to talk more about it. All right, buddy. Remember, every day is a holiday. And right now, I'm going to go make some stuff because that's what I like to do. So have a great rest of your day.